Once upon a time, I was a fanatical evangelical. I was an evangelical, and a lot of people thought I was fanatical because I actually, at the time, believed in the things that I was saying to the extent that I was willing to do whatever it took to follow the God that I believed in. And I dealt with so many quote unquote Christians who were liars and manipulators and just cowards, and they all thought I was just way off the deep end. And time after time after time, I tried to do stuff following what I believe was God leading me there to save people, to reach people, to help people. And I ran into so many walls, got so many heartaches. And a lot of people go through that and they just quit going to church. And they just dismiss everything in their particular denomination. But they hang on to this tiny little belief in a creator God because they just can't let it go. It's just there and scares the total fuck out of them to let that go. And believe me, that's where I was scared. I've never been as scared in my life as I was the day that I got down this end. Well, nothing I believed in was right. But there has to be a creator, right? I mean, that's just drilled into my little head. Until one day, being the curious sort that I am, and I was always looking at NASA's websites and everything that NASA had, and I ran across something called the Hubble Deep Space Survey. Yeah, that's when I started this little video with Hubble Deep Space Survey. So what that is, they picked out a little, if it was, on the side of the wall, space on the side of the wall, about maybe half an inch. The darkest dot in the sky. And they pointed the Hubble. And they left it there long enough for whatever light was there, however dim, to collect. And what they discovered sealed my fate. Because in that tiny, tiny, tiny little patch of space, they discovered thousands and thousands and thousands of galaxies. Thousands of galaxies, not planets. All those little specks are galaxies. The numbers they're just too big to even consider the size of this universe. And to think that one entity, one God, or whatever you want to call it, looks right down into a tiny, tiny planet in a tiny, tiny galaxy in hundreds of billions of galaxies. And if you multiply that little square by the whole sky, if you think about it, if you go up on your ceiling and you put 1,000 little dots in a half of an inch, if you could do that, and then multiply that by the whole sky, all the way around. It's That number is beyond our comprehension. So there are that many galaxies out there. But God, in his infinite love and wisdom, come trickling down to a tiny ass little blue planet in one tiny little solar system and says, I'm going to give you people all I got to give you. That's the stupidest shit I ever heard. There's no way. It's like saying you walk out on the beach and there's one grain of sand that has a civilization on it. And the civilization is so small on that grain of sand, they're microscopic. Very microscopic, very, very small. And I'm going to pick that one grain of sand up. And I'm going to say, oh, I love you people. Very funny. It's very funny. It's just impossible. If you can put that in your head logically, then more power to you. Because that don't fit. It just don't fit. There's no way a creator created all of that. No. So I became an atheist. And an atheist is someone who just don't believe in a creator God. There's a lot of things I don't believe in either. I believe there's some possibilities, but I don't dismiss some things like some atheists do. But there's just no way. Nope. I'll come back and explain some more about being an atheist later. But I wanted you to see how it ended for me. It ended with that Deep Space Survey. Go back and look at it. Go look it up. Wow. Blow your mind. It will blow your mind.